All right. Hey, welcome, Kane and I Show. What's up, Kane? You survived Irma.
Yeah, man, she was a real B, but yeah, we survived it down here, man. You can't kill us. Well, I ain't gonna say we Floridians, but I'm from South Carolina, so
Yeah,
I don't play that. You know how Anderson is.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I'm scared to be there at night.
Well, whatever. You need to stop lying, man. I'm tired of you lying on my hometown like it's
Oh,
some
I'm not
dangerous.
lying. I'm not lying. I'm not. I'm not afraid. I am very afraid to be there at night. So all right. So you survived Irma. Of course, we had a little wind, little
You
rain
you had
here.
you had Irma Jr., so
Yeah,
y'all
well,
had a
we
little.
had like Irma. Yeah, it wasn't even junior. Like the I don't even know what you want to call that. We didn't even get, uh, I guess that might have been Irma's great grandchild or something by the time I got here. It was so watered down. But anyway, of course, you want to, recognize the victims. Of course, Hurricane Harvey and Irma, not only in the U.S. but also in the Caribbean
Yeah,
for Irma.
definitely.
So, shout out to those people. I know a lot of lost life, so definitely something want to take a moment to recognize. But anyway, you know what we do, you know how we do it. So we just want to take a moment to thank you guys for helping us get to almost 20,000 views. So watch this show 2 or 3 times so we can get there a little faster. Send it to somebody else, tell them about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button, okay, if you haven't done that already. Give us a thumbs up, leave some comments. We'll answer your comments, all right? So we don't just forget about you, all right? We get a message when you leave a comment, so we go back and answer it. Leave some questions,
Definitely,
make
man.
some suggestions, talk smack to Kane about his Hurricanes, Miami
Right.
Hurricanes, whatever. So anyway, NFL season kicked off. So let's start there. Week 1's in the books. Week 2 starting. What was your biggest surprise for week 1?
Man, it started off Thursday night for me, man. I mean,
Ooh,
who
yeah.
expected the Patriots to get toasted at home on, Super Bowl celebration night, man? I mean, they had they had Mark Wahlberg out there, and they were chanting and talking about how they were down 28-3, and the Patriots roared back, and then you come out and you lay an egg, man. I mean,
Well, that's funny thing is they got off to a good start because KC
yeah,
was giving them the ball, and so it looked like they was about to blow KC out of the building. And then,
yeah. I mean, because it got in real danger of getting up to a three possession lead right there in the first quarter. And I can't remember what happened. I want to say Kansas City. I mean, New England either missed their field goal or didn't convert. They got stopped on fourth down. That's what it was. They went for it on fourth down, fourth and one. And Kansas City stopped them, and then Kansas City went back and scored a touchdown. And to me, that just killed the momentum. I've never seen Tom Brady have a fourth quarter like that. At home especially. Kansas City outscored them 21-0 in the fourth quarter. And that just doesn't happen in the Bill Belichick era. It doesn't happen in New England at the Patriot Stadium. That just doesn't happen.
yeah, and especially like on paper, this team looks better
Yeah.
than last year.
And that's what everybody was saying in the offseason. The Patriots won the offseason. So, what were you going to say when you get Gronk back? You've added Brandon Cooks. You've beefed up the defense a little bit. You got him a running game now with Gillislee and Mike and James White. So everybody's just thinking, what the world happened? I mean, is Julian Edelman that important to this team? I mean, it seems like it could be that way right now.
Well, I'll tell you what I noticed. It seemed to me like the Patriots secondary wasn't communicating well. They gave up like 2 over 70-yard touchdown plays, if I remember correctly. There were a couple times, they're looking at each other kind of like confused about, or seemed to be like, oh, I thought you had that guy, I got him, whatever. And so, I know Gilmore's new there. I'm not sure about the other guys in the secondary. Of course, Malcolm Butler's been there years.
Yeah.
So, obviously they got some extra time to get ready for week 2 and fix whatever went wrong in week 1. So, we'll see what happened with the Patriots. What else stuck out to you this week?
The Falcons, man, they kind of stuck out. I thought the Falcons offense took a step back, man. I mean, I was expecting this high-flying offense that they had last year, and they struggled with the Bears. I mean, the Bears actually had a possession in the red zone with the chance to win the game. And, I think it was a sack that ended the game for them right around I think it was around the 15 or 10-yard line. But they actually had a chance to beat the Falcons on opening day. Matt Ryan wasn't sharp. Julio was held under 60 yards. This wasn't the Falcons I was expecting to see with Devontae Freeman, Julio, Matt Ryan back. I was expecting, what they were doing last year, 30, 35 points a game. That's what I was expecting to see, and I just didn't see it, man.
There might be something to that whole Super Bowl loser hangover thing.
Yeah, everybody expects them to take a step back this year, and it seems like for the past few years, whoever did win the Super Bowl or went to the Super Bowl, it's usually the loser takes a step back, like Carolina did the previous year.
They were the number one offense.
Yeah,
scoring wise. And the year they won. The year they went to the Super Bowl, not won it, but 2015.
Yeah. So
I was surprised to see Jacksonville go to Houston and win. And not only the fact they won, but how they won.
Yeah, 10 sacks. 10.
Yeah, that and their offensive line pretty much controlled the Houston defensive front. Which is that's
one of the better ones in the league. You're right. So that was very surprising.
Tom Savage, Bill O'Brien basically just wasted the whole preseason giving Savage first 2 reps. And then gives up after a half and is like, all right, let's go with the rookie.
I think Glass at halftime was like, man, what's going on with Tom Savage? What's wrong with the Houston? I said, man, the solution is on the bench. That guy you just
why would they give that dude the reps in the preseason? That's part I don't understand, but oh well.
To me, Deshaun Watson outplayed him in the preseason. What I ain't gonna even say outplayed him. They were pretty even, but everybody knows when you got 2 even competitors, you go with the younger guy. So
it was obvious. It's not like they signed Savage to some big contract or something. It's obvious it was just a guy, and they drafted Deshaun first round. So it's obvious what the future holds. Just a matter of when. So now we know.
It's a little earlier. He's starting Thursday night. So hey.
Apparently, Bill O'Brien doesn't know about the Clemson skill position player curse, but he'll find out soon enough here.
That's like the Carolina non-existent.
All right, so let's go to some I don't want to say controversy, but I guess we'll say controversy involving ESPN, involving the President of the United States. Involving, media, social media, so many things with this whole Jemele Hill story. I don't know. And I guess, could you just quickly recap for people what happened in case they don't know?
You had a couple of people, if anybody doesn't know or doesn't follow Jemele Hill is not one of those celebrities or people who ignores people who tweet at her. She will actually tweet back at you. If you insult her, she will clap back at you. So somebody asked her, brought up the subject of the president came up, and she gave her, her straight up opinion on it. I don't know if she was at home drinking that yak or, she was just on one that day, but Jemele just cuts no short. She tells it how it is, and that's one reason I really like her. And she said, Donald Trump is a white supremacist and he surrounded himself with white supremacists. So, that was basically what she said. And, of course, the media firestorm that followed that was just out of this world, with especially with Trump supporters and those guys who, the alt-right guys and all of these guys who lean that way. So they made a big stink, and they actually, the speaker, not the Speaker of the House, the White House Speaker actually called for Jemele Hill to be fired by ESPN. So,
which is ridiculous. How do I say? Now, if she had said this on air,
that's different.
If she was on her job and said it, then I get why. I get why somebody from the White House may say, hey, she should be fired. But to, how do I say this? It's almost like beneath the office of the White House to call for a TV show host. It's not even like a political show to be fired based on a tweet.
Well, the president was a TV show, a reality TV star, so I guess he kind of feels her pain. So
you know what I mean? Like that's the thing that bothers me. It's almost like, because how many people tweet stuff much worse than that about him? You know what I mean? Like, if somebody just going through finding Twitter saying, hey, this person be fired, like, come on. Now, like exactly. I said, if she said it out on air, or if somebody was on Good Morning America or something and said something like this, but it leads to I think a more important subject, which, you brought up, I'm glad you did, is like, just for normal people like you and I, how can Twitter impact your job, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
You filter what you like or retweet on Twitter, because some of your coworkers might see this or whatever,
I mean, to me, like you said, it's beneath the office. I think the president should have more on his plate. I mean, we just had 2 hurricanes come through the country. We got 2 devastated areas of the country. We're this close to war with North Korea. So if anybody, we've got the healthcare issue going on right now. We've got, DACA. Everybody's worried about deporting the children of immigrants that were born here. So I think we got more problems than you worry about, who's calling you a name on Twitter. But going back to you, yeah, I mean, do you filter or think about before you hit send? Remember Herb Lewis said, don't hit send.
That's right. I do, especially when I'm tweeting from my personal account or retweeting from my personal account. Which on my personal account, I really didn't follow that many people. I'm very careful about who I even follow on my personal account. For the Kane and Ice account, much broader. Obviously, most of that's going to be focused on sports or other sports fans, things like that. Not all sports, but mostly. Because that's what we talk about on the show mostly, and of course that's what we attract, right? So, yeah, I really do. And to me, it's just kind of common sense. And I remember, I guess in the earlier days of social media, when Facebook was kind of like the number one thing, I remember some teachers here in Charlotte getting fired for posting stuff on Facebook like, I work at the most ghetto school in North Carolina. Or, I think one dude had shirtless pictures where he was like posing or something, and like a little perspective, and like weird stuff like that. So
he took that Bishop Eddie Long picture and put it on Facebook.
I think it's a little more exposing than that. I didn't see it, but so those kind of things always stuck me, and I was kind of late to the social media game, so even when I did join, it was mostly reading, didn't really post much or whatever. And so, but with all that said, yeah, I am careful about what I retweet, or like. Speaking of which, Ted Cruz, you need to be careful about what you like on Twitter.
Porn king.
But all right, so let's take a quick look at college football, which is a couple weeks in. I'd like to take this moment to remind you, or I don't know, maybe I'm educating you or reminding you that South Carolina Gamecocks are in first place in the SEC East.
I just had a talk with a coworker yesterday, and he's a Florida Gator fan, and I brought up our bet that we had, and I started talking to him about it. I'm like, man, Florida's got quarterback issues and some other things going on. Tennessee's kind of middle of the road. I mean, they're not great at one thing individually,
but they have talent.
You got Georgia, who you don't know which team is going to show up. And I'm thinking to myself, here are the South Carolina Gamecocks, who have played 2 Division 1A schools, and they I ain't gonna say they had their way, but they beat them pretty convincingly. And I'm thinking to myself, man, do I really want to buy an SEC championship team?
You're like, man, Ice is a genius. Good God.
I never said that. I would never say that.
All right.
I'm thinking to myself, damn, these volunteers and these Bulldogs got to help me out here because
you got to figure
some deep stuff with South Carolina. I mean, in the SEC championship.
You got to figure by the time South Carolina and Florida play, half the team probably gonna be locked up. So that so I got to give it to South Carolina.
Are you talking about South Carolina or Florida?
No, Florida.
Oh, okay. We just had to clarify that. Sorry.
No, South Carolina. Come on now. Do not have. Only thug I ever had was dude from your area. What's his name? Watson.
Really? Really?
Really. So. All right. Let's look at it. South Carolina, week 1, took on North Carolina State. So they took on an entire state in North Carolina.
The entire state? No, you took on Raleigh. It wasn't the whole state. It was Raleigh.
No, they played in Charlotte. So it was like a road game for South Carolina because it was in the state of North Carolina. North Carolina State playing in North Carolina. Now, I was a little concerned about the defense after that game because North Carolina State ran a lot of plays. And, South Carolina came with some big plays here and there to stop drives. But I was a little concerned because defense seemed to struggle getting off the field, but it played much better against Missouri on the road. So this week finally play at home against the Kentucky Wildcats. So, John Calipari already brings in talent. So we'll see what happens with that one.
Y'all better be glad Calipari's not recruiting for Kentucky football. That's all I'm saying.
And so week 1, I was watching the bottom line and I saw that Miami defeated Beth Cook. So I thought that was pretty, that's pretty strange. You guys just play one woman and you won by like 28 points or something. I'm surprised you didn't win by more, you have so many NFL.
Look, man, we took it easy on. I was at the game. We took it easy on them. The third string was in the middle of the third quarter. There was a practice, okay? It was a glorified practice. Let's call it what it is. Well, at least the Bethune-Cookman band was okay, so I give them props. But the football team, okay, whatever. But it was a practice. Of course, we'll get to the meat of the schedule in a couple of weeks. We've had some shuffling of the schedule thanks to the Irma, the storm here. So they actually canceled a game last weekend, and also the Florida State game, which was supposed to be this weekend, has already been canceled as well. But it's going to get rescheduled for a couple of weeks. And then they moved the day of the Georgia Tech game from a Thursday night game to a Saturday game too. So nothing's really changed except for the order we're playing in. At least we get another cupcake before we got to go to Tallahassee. Speaking of Tallahassee, they got beat down by Bama in the weekend kickoff game, which they lost their quarterback for the year. I think it was a dislocated patella kneecap. So he's gone for the year. So Florida State's now got I don't know if he's a true freshman or a redshirt freshman. But either way, he's brand new, just on the scene, and he's going to get a week to relax for a week before them Canes come to Tallahassee. So plan on being there. I'll probably shoot some video. Make sure you're watching out, Florida State fans and Miami fans, because I'll shoot some video of that game, and we'll be there live as well, taking care of that.
Maybe we should run a contest to find somebody to go with you. Maybe run a contest on Twitter or something. Find.
Check this out. Yeah, let me give the Florida State fans, something to do. If you want to come to the game, hang out with your boy. We can watch the game together. I'll foot you a ticket. That's how good a man I am. I just want a true Florida State fan to go.
But you gotta subscribe first.
Yes, if you're not a subscriber, you're not going to the game. Sorry.
All right. So speaking of college football, let's talk about I know it's super early, Heisman Trophy candidates. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, the defending.
I got 3. Yeah, I got 3 right now.
What's my man from Penn State? Barkley.
Yeah. I've got right now. I've got in no particular order. I've got Lamar Jackson, quarterback at Louisville. I've got Saquon Barkley, the running back from Penn State, and then I've got Baker Mayfield, quarterback from Oklahoma. So right now, those are my three that I've got towards me.
Here we go again. This you're gonna show South Carolina some respect. All right.
Look, man.
Debo Samuel, how's he not on your list?
What Debo do? Man, look, tell Debo to go get
like
red
5
bike
touchdowns in 2 games.
Hey, tell Debo to go get red bike back and get a life, okay? He is not a Heisman contender just because he scored 5 touchdowns.
He has 2 over 95-yard kickoff returns for touchdowns in 2 games.
Okay, let's see some more. Give me a body of work, okay? Everybody else has already got some hype going into the season. This man's coming fresh out of the woods, and you expect me to put him on the list? Nah, player, not happening.
Okay, once again, just continue disrespect. Which reminds me, somebody, because they bet against Golden State, is supposed to be coming to Columbia. I forgot about that.
Look, I'm going to come to the cesspool one weekend. All right. You just decide when it is. You decide when it is, what needs to happen, and I'll be there. But I'm wearing that U when I come to the stadium.
I got you. You wear the garbage. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break. All right. Obviously, fantasy football time. So we got something special for you guys. You heard about it. It is time to go ahead and download the app. But anyway, check out this commercial. We'll be right back to holler at you. All right. Give me 30 seconds. We'll be right back at you. All right, we're back. So thanks for sticking with us. We appreciate it. And we got some more college football for you because, hey, can't get enough college football, right?
Never.
When my South Carolina Gamecocks are undefeated and marching toward that SEC East Championship that I predicted. But anyway, let's talk about some other SEC games, So let's talk about overhyped programs based on their history. Tennessee and Florida played each other this week.
I mean, they've only got as many SEC championships as South Carolina's got appearances, probably. So.
Yeah. But how long has that been? Okay, like what have you done? As Janet Jackson once said, what have you?
Hey, put it this way: Tebow is more recent than George Rogers was. So just remember that.
Yeah, well. As Janet once said, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, you should. Don't look in the mirror when you say that, okay?
Jadeveon Clowney was more recent than all of them, right? He's number 1 overall pick, okay? What's Tebow doing now? Playing baseball. And I love Tebow, so, Anyway, let's see. Florida plays Tennessee, so I'm going to go with Tennessee. Of course, Tennessee has a lot of talent. They just can't quite seem to put things together for the entire season or a significant run. Florida, of course, we know is super offensively challenged. We saw that in the Michigan game. If Michigan doesn't throw just some ridiculous picks to them, they don't get in the end zone. So I'm going to go with Tennessee in this one, even though it's in Florida. Plus, I think, the guys at Florida have dealt with some upheaval, they're right out of their routine, with the hurricane and everything. I'm going to go with Tennessee, the Vols.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I can't complain there. I think I would go with Tennessee. I'm going to take Tennessee as well. I just think Florida's just too offensively challenged to even put up a good fight against a decent team. They'll dominate the Vanderbilts, the Kentuckys, but when they play somebody with like skill position players, I think they're going to struggle to score. So give me the Volunteers in that as well.
Right, and they'll lose to South Carolina, of course. All right, all right. So Of course, Bama, number one team in the country, playing Colorado State this week. Should be another, roll tide.
Execution.
Yeah. Anyway, so what do we have? I know you talked a little bit about ACC, but to me the big game is your boy Lamar Jackson against Clemson, who he lit up last year, especially later in the game. But Clemson did come up with the win last year. Are they playing in Louisville?
Yeah, this game is in Louisville this year. So roles are reversed this year. No Deshaun Watson. So Clemson's going to have to work a little bit harder. Now, Louisville defense isn't really what I would call a top performer or a stout. So Clemson can score on them.
Right.
The thing is, Clemson's defense is actually probably better than it was last year. Considering what they lost, I want to say 2 quarterbacks, the safety, a linebacker, and an end. Clemson's defense is probably better because of those 2 tackles than they were last year. Actually, I think I read something that the 4 defensive linemen starting for Clemson are all rated to go in the first or second round right now. So I mean, so when you're starting 4 linemen are going to the NFL in the first couple of rounds, they're stout up front. Now, being stout up front is different than stopping Lamar Jackson, because for the first 2 games has been on an absolute roll. He looks like he's a better thrower this year as well to me. I watched last week. He just carved the team up running and passing the ball. He kind of flashed that Heisman season early last year. Lamar Jackson actually flashed on the screen. So I'm expecting a better game this year. If he can get some help from the running game, his receivers aren't world beaters, but if he can get some help from the running game, I think Louisville can pull this one off this year.
Well, you're right. They're going to have to be able to ram that ball to slow down the defensive front.
Well, right now, they're going to have to run to keep Clemson honest, but they're not going to gain a lot of yards running on Clemson. I'm just going to go ahead and say that right now. They are not going to gain a lot of yards running the ball.
Yeah, but to your point, you've got to be happy with 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah, you got to keep them honest. You just can't drop Lamar. You can't drop him back, 50 times a game and think you're going to beat Clemson. You're going to have to run the ball to keep the pass rush honest. But at the same time, if you're going to have to pick up a few yards with this, and every once in a while maybe hope to break one or get loose and get 5 or 7 yards or something like that. I think it's going to be a tough game. But the Lamar Jackson I've seen this year, I think he's ready this year. Like you said, he gave Clemson all they could handle last year. And if it wasn't for a receiver taking a soft corner trying to get a first down, they probably win that game because they were right there. I want to say it was beside the 10-yard line.
That ridiculous move.
Yeah, he made no effort to get that first down, man. And so,
all right. So, and also I read Jackson gained some muscle over the offseason.
Well, he had to. I mean, Duke and Hula Hoop in a Cheerio last year, but I mean, he had to gain some weight. But he is a little bit bigger.
He's like 19 or 20, so gaining muscle.
I mean, when you were 19 or 20, you was a pencil too. But I mean, from what I've seen,
know anything about pistols? I don't know.
He's a better thrower this year. He seems to be developing. Last year, I saw a lot of one read and take off and do what you do. Mm-hmm. This year, I'm seeing him get through a little bit more progression.
So the offense better.
Yeah. So I don't think the offense is better this year. I think he's better. Just like Deshaun Watson.
He knows it. What I'm saying is he knows the offense better.
Yeah. So I'm going to take Louisville in this game, man. And, I haven't seen the line yet. I need to check that out. But I would say Clemson would be the favorite just because they've been so dominant the last, year and a half, 2 years. But I'm going to take Louisville in this game to pull off the upset.
It should be an interesting game. I'm excited to see it. All right. So, we like to talk about things, culture, things in the news, give our takes on things. And also we like to talk a little fantasy football. So let's take a quick moment to talk a little fantasy. Now, of course, you guys, we're not going to give you breakdowns of top 5 running backs and the top 5 quarterbacks and all that stuff everybody else gives you. All right. I just want to vent and talk about players I would like to kick in the head because they underperformed. Russell Wilson. How did Green Bay's defense shut you down? All right. Alshon Jeffrey, bro, come on. Aguilar like ran circles around you. Come on, man. I don't know. It's okay. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. Anybody you would like to kick in the head, or any player let you down this week?
Yeah, David Johnson. Hello,
Well, he
come
got
on,
injured. Come
dude.
on, that's different.
I mean, I select you first overall, and this is what you do to me. I mean, really, bro? Really? Man, forget you, man. I'm telling you, you just think you hopeful now. But guess what? Did you win last week?
I'm sorry. I'm getting paged. I'm sorry. Well,
Excuse me? Did you win last week, sir?
I'm sorry. Russell Wilson, going to the next Sierra concert, and I'm looking for you.
I mean, I still pull it out. Thank God I have the Rams defense playing. So yeah, I had a good week. How about yourself?
All right, so let's go to the next subject. The reason I want to kick people in the head, okay, not out of excitement. All right.
So what was your fantasy surprise of the weekend? What happened that you didn't see coming from somebody you maybe had on the bench or thought about drafting or not on your team?
Well, obviously the easy answer is Hunt, right? Like, I mean, obviously we figured he would get some touches, but nobody knew, this dude's going to go for 250 yards or whatever and 3 touchdowns, whatever. Alex Smith, blowing up.
Yeah.
That has to be, especially considering they were playing New England week 1, at New England, and Alex Smith known to be Mr. Checkdown, and turned into Mr. Deep Threat.
Yeah, Mr. Checkdown turned into Mr. Over the Top, man.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, one of the best games I've ever seen him play. So it was quite impressive. You're right. Me being the dummy, rookie running back Kareem Hunt on my bench. I look at him and say, let's give him a tryout first before I put him in the lineup and see what happens. Stupid me, left 44 points on the bench, but I still won. That says a lot. But yeah, I mean, that was surprising.
When we play each other and I beat you, that'll take care of everything. But anyway, let's get to.
Don't worry, for everybody out there, I'm gonna post out on the Twitter site, on our site. I'm gonna put Eric's scorecard from last week and let you see how bad he got beat by his opponent.
Wasn't that bad? Russell Wilson killed me.
Blame the black guy. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the half black guy.
No, he's fully black. Both his parents black.
I don't know, man. He got hair like you, so I'm not sure.
I'm telling you, man. Might be putting, juice and berries in it. But anyway. All right. So this week, of course, marks not only Eric DeWalt Day. Have to remind everybody about the national institution that is Eric DeWalt Day. And also we're spreading into Canada. As you know, Rory told me that they're going to be celebrating Eric DeWalt Day in Ontario, where he lives. So we're expanding our reach of Eric DeWalt Day as U.S. culture invades the world. But anyway, on a sadder note, obviously, this week marks 21 years since my favorite hip hop artist, or I'd say probably my favorite artist, period, of all time, Tupac Shakur, passed away. So obviously, I think we're in that age group where Tupac definitely right in our wheelhouse. He's a few years older than us. So, we were pretty much around for his whole career, saw the different phases. And obviously, I mean, when you look at it, really a relatively short time he was in the limelight, but, so many, like it was just such a up and down rocket launch type thing. But when you think about the kind of impact he made on not just hip hop culture, but I would think even American culture, in a lot of ways was ahead of his time. I think, and it would be interesting, obviously, if he was here right now, because we're in such a divided time. And so many of the things that he talked about and worked on, and you see Kaepernick doing similar things, you know. So I don't know. I just find it so interesting that, you know, as we sort of remember Tupac, you know, that we're in this place in this country, you know, and there's even an interview where he talks about Donald Trump. You know, he's really used Donald Trump as like an example for the one percenters or the really rich people who, you know, aren't really doing much for others. You know, and that, you know, 20 years later, or a little over 20 years later, this dude is the actual president of the United States. You know, it's just amazing. So anyway, what are your thoughts when you think of Tupac now? You know,
man, I just, I mean, just the influence on music that he was, you know, music culture. He's one of those artists that transcended race. You know, I mean, there's probably as many, you know, white kids who grew up our age who love Tupac than, you know, as us. You know, I remember his, you know, later in his career, his albums being so hot that people were lined up outside the door. You remember the night Machiavelli came out, man.
Dude. Okay, so let's back up. Let's educate all the millennials. See, before, like, what do you call it? iPads and iPhones, iPods. We had to actually go to a store and buy
the CD.
Right, and buy. There's this disc, right, and it's like about this big, and it was very thin. You put it in something and it plays music. You had to actually buy that, and so yeah, there's a line of people, and like there's like a release date for records, right, or for CDs. So like they would open the store like at 10:30, but they won't actually check you out till midnight if you're buying the record, because, you know, the release date hasn't come yet till midnight. So yeah, like, yeah, I you know, that's definitely one of the things I'll never forget is, yeah, that night we all went to was a place on South Boulevard and bought the
Media Play. I think it was Media Play. Yeah. I mean, being there at midnight and the line out the door wrapped around the building, and them just
and
standing
at the counter.
You remember they were just standing at the counter with just boxes of CDs, and it was all pocket. They were just, you know, one after another. What are you here for? Machiavelli. I mean, it was, you know, it was a good night. I remember, you know, going back to the car, you know, and we popped in the CD before we even left the parking lot, and we listened to the first song. We was like, man, that's dope. And then number 2 came on, Hail Mary, and we just looked at each other like, man, did you hear that? That had to be the dopest rap song I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, dude. And I think also, you know, just the emotion of, because, you know, that was what, like a month or so after.
Yeah, after he passed.
So, you know, it was just like this sort of rawness. And then, you know, there was still all that kind of speculation about who killed him and what really went down and all this other stuff, you know. I don't know, man. And then the music was just, especially the first couple songs, just had such a haunting effect, you know.
Yeah.
Come with me, you know, like. So I don't know, man. It's crazy, but you made a good point about the about about crossing over into other cultures. You know, because I think I saw a quote with Jada once. You know, of course, him and Jada, I guess, went to high school together, whatever, very tight. And she said something like, you know, passion doesn't have a color. And her point was that, you know, white people or other people, you know, outside of hip hop or black culture, you know, were attracted to Tupac because they saw the passion.
Like I said, you know, it was, the lifestyle he led, you know, that's something for another discussion. But, you know, we're talking about just his impact and, got shot a couple of times. And, you know, we remember hearing about him getting shot. And, you know, we were together hanging out the night that word came out that he actually passed.
You remember what the DJ at the club said? We were at the club.
Yeah. And, he was mighty disrespectful. Okay, I'll put it that way.
I thought he may not get out of here alive. Like, dudes stopped what they were doing and went to the DJ booth. It was about to be on. Like, he
was mighty disrespectful, and, you know, so but I remember that, and, you know, how I felt, and, you know, just the impact he made, and, you know, still, you know, just last week, man, I was still listening to All Eyes on Me going down the road traveling last week. So, I mean.
Well, and when you look at, not only music, but you got the movies, right?
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
just his style, right? Like how many dudes have you seen, especially like in the early 2000s, walk around with their bandana tied the same way, no shirt, tatted up stomachs and all
had
that. You know
the
what I
same
mean?
tattoos he got. Yeah, people getting the
Right.
same tattoos. Yeah,
Ja Rule at one point, if you just looked real fast, you think that was Tupac at one point, right? Because the way he wore his bandana, bald, all that stuff. So, um, I mean, but I think the thing with Pac is, I think the thing that to me, and I hate because I think Biggie was a super talented dude, and Biggie could paint a picture, and it feel like you're actually watching a movie just by hearing his songs. So Biggie was a super talented dude, and obviously they had their beef, and they'll always be tied together because of that. But to me, they're totally different, um, because Pac had that whole Black Panther background. I mean, like he was like knew actual political prisoners and grew up around these people and that kind of thing. And a lot of, especially his early music and even like some of his later music, really touched on those subjects.
yeah. Everybody remembers the party records, I Get Around, and all of that stuff.
Right.
But Pac had deep records. Keep Your Head Up, and Dear Mama,
Yeah.
and all these
Brenda's
other
Got a
things.
Baby. I think that was
Yeah,
wasn't that his first song? I think Brenda's Got a Baby or whatever.
yeah. So Pac was always deep into stuff. He was from all accounts, a very smart, intellectual, thinking guy as well. And a lot of people forget that stuff. So that's some stuff I don't like people to forget about him, and what his music did for the industry and the world itself. So, like you said, especially the movies as well, because he was becoming a hell of an actor too. I mean, he was critically acclaimed in Juice. People were, this is not just, not just the black people in the hip hop community, actual movie critics and people who watch film were like, man, this guy is great. So, you know, it's just Pac was just everywhere, man. And, I miss him. I'd love to see what he would be doing if he was still here today. But definitely, big shout outs, man. Both of us
Yeah.
big fans. And
You gotta remember, I mean, dude was like what, 25 when he passed?
yeah, I think he was 24 or 25 when he
Right.
got.
So, you and I can both attest in our early mid-20s made a lot of bad choices. you know, so just imagine if you had money and fame and all that stuff on top of that, and he's also trying to navigate this, this world that, I mean, he's in the music industry, but I still think there's a skill to navigating it and knowing how to really properly manage things money wise. So, and obviously, I think he was still trying to figure that part out. But I mean, obviously, I mean, just look at the impact he's had. There have been two like movies since he's passed away. Two movies like about him released in movie theaters, right? You had the Tupac Resurrection movie. I guess that's probably about 9, 10 years ago. Then of course this year you had the biopic.
Yeah, there's been a couple of other documentaries as well. I mean, those wasn't
Right.
the only two. There's one or two more that I've seen as well. So I mean, we're talking about a guy that had wide impact, man. So it just wasn't hip hop or a rapper, your ordinary rapper, man. This was somebody who was destined to become somebody who changed the world, and I really think he did that, man.
Yeah. And unfortunately, taken from us too early, because I really think he would have evolved into political leader. He was even already talking about creating political parties and things like that, and was already doing like charity work and a lot of things of that nature. Um, so it's just unfortunate that obviously he was taken from us too soon. But we always had music, and hopefully somebody can learn from this story and avoid the same mistakes or avoid violence, things like that. But anyway, with all that said, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Want to make sure that you remember to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, leave a comment. I think we're going to start. I've been thinking about this. I wanted to ask you about this, Kane. If maybe we go back and listen to like an old hip hop album every week and then come on and like review it right? And sort of
Yeah, that's a great idea. And for everybody out there listening, hit us up, Twitter or Facebook, if you got an idea for that album. We'd be glad to go check it out and give our opinion on it.
now it's
Go
got to be
back
like
and
a
reminisce on
classic.
it a little bit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
got to be a classic.
gotta be
It's
a
got to be
classic.
like at least
And we will be the ones to determine if it's a classic,
right.
not
It's
you.
got to be It's got to be at least 15 years old. Okay, preferably like from the 90s.
Fair enough.
Right, like don't send us like mumble rap. Don't say Future and then like no. Okay, don't no hot garbage. Okay, people who can actually rap. Anyway, make sure you check out the show. Like I said, send it off to your friends. We appreciate you guys. Also, stay tuned. We'll have our Eagle show, and we got a special to celebrate when we hit 20,000 views. We're gonna have a music video. That's right, Kane and I's music video coming on this channel. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. All right. Anyway, in the meantime, we out. Hey, Jason, thanks for the music. Sorry about your Falcons, man. 28-3. Never forget.